Thank you. Thank you all for just coordinating this meeting. And Director Calabria, thank you for your work, really to keep our FHFA and the duties and responsibilities of that first and foremost, and just for bringing the great experience you have into a, as we can tell from this hearing, sometimes very thankless job. So appreciate it. You know, a lot of the things that you oversee are things that the private sector market, the free market, wouldn't actually create some of these products, right? So I guess I'm curious if you could list a few of those things that you do that the federal government has decided, you know, we really think it's important to have these programs. Could you highlight some of those programs that you oversee?
That's a great question, Congressman. I'm not sure on a daily basis I divided that kind of bucket, but I will try to do my best here for you. I would probably create two broad categories. One, I would say, on one hand, there's an extremely large amount of the Fannie and Freddie business that is extremely high quality. You know, the number of loans that Fannie and Freddie make where the loan to values are less than 70%, where it's substantial down payments, very high FICOs, very low debt to income, that any lender would feel comfortable making is very significant. And I would maybe say it's as much as perhaps 80% of Fannie and Freddie's business. There's probably another 15% of their business that under most terms of the private sector would do. But I would say that maybe, and again, I want to emphasize it's a real approximation, so please don't hold me to it. Probably around 5% or less of their business is business. And of course, I'm not counting this would otherwise go to FHA, but this is business that most private lenders would probably say that this is simply too risky, or else they would have to price considerably higher. And so most of what Fannie and Freddie do in that regard, you know, again, whether we want to explicitly subsidize that small amount of the overall amount certainly is a decision for Congress to make. But on the loan products, most of what they do, the private sector, the rest of the private sector rather would and could do.
Yeah, thanks for that. So that's a without naming the exact programs, it gets to the heart of what I'm concerned about. So much of the portfolio would truly be able to be priced in a sense that the market could provide a price. And I think it's really important that that part is able to be, you know, re-enter the market. And the tool to do that is the credit risk transfer or structured credit market, incredibly important. Whether you're talking, you know, in any of the four main sectors of it, but certainly a big portion comes under FHFA. And so when you think about how important that is, the structured credit market is a massive part of how we've kept nominal rates low for the vast majority of borrowers, because the yield is able to happen primarily because of liquidity, right? So if the vast majority of things entering the structured credit market are really things that the market understands, have priced, would price, then when you pass that on into the secondary market, then the market knows how to price that. Even if it's a standalone vehicle or bundled up together, it consists of market risks, things the market would do. But I guess my concern is, there are certain things, as you referred to it as maybe 5% of the portfolio, that the market really wouldn't do. Now, I'm not debating whether the federal government should or shouldn't do those things. I guess my concern is that they shouldn't really enter into the credit risk transfer pool and be considered market risk. Now, a lot of people know that, okay, it's in there, so you got to cover for it and dilute it with other things. But it's like, well, why would you put poison into an otherwise healthy food chain, right? So how are you able to protect, what's your thought on how to protect the market from non-market risk in that sense?
Great set of questions and points. And let me first say, I think the CRT market has been so helpful in illustrating that there actually are investors who want to take mortgage credit risk. And certainly for a very long time, you know, one of the arguments for keeping Fannie and Freddie in their current condition was that nobody else would take mortgage credit risk. And so I think CRT has demonstrated there is an appetite for that. I think the way that the GSEs have traditionally done with the point of your point is that they've had rather high, what you call attachment points. And so until you hit the attachment point, Fannie and Freddie take the first loss of the CRT. So if you take my example of, say, 5% of the pool is not what the private sector would necessarily want, where the structure of the pool generally leaves that first 5% or so with Fannie and Freddie.
Thanks so much. Wish we had more time to talk and would love to at your convenience. My time's expired and I yield.